What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Door to Door Rizz. Our special guest today is the one and only Danny Pessy.
Hey guys, what's up, Rizzamaniacs? It's your boy, Big Pess. Hollering to all those Pessamaniacs out there. Do you know what you get when the Rizzamaniacs connect with the Pessamaniacs?
What is it?
It's Pessarizamania, and it's running wild here in Dallas, Texas.
Let's go. Danny, so for our audience, obviously a lot of people already know who you are, what you do, but for those new guys out here watching us, so just tell us a little bit more what you do.
Yeah, so I basically I've been doing door-to-door this is going into my 17th year now, about to be my 18th, so it's been a super long time. So I did really, really well for a super long time, and then wanted to get into the speaking and training realm, and I always like being on camera and entertaining people, and so I transitioned from being a VP at a company to running a full-time training and consulting agents, and it's been fantastic. So basically, I train solar sales orgs how to improve their systems and processes by proper training, unique recruiting, and leadership development.
That's awesome. Yeah, I see a lot of people like retagging some of your contact and everything, and definitely some great contact that you're giving out there for the young guys.
Yeah.
Even like just 2 days ago, you did or actually just yesterday, you did a nice little talk to the Lumio Central Solar. So I know they loved it. A lot of them complaining about not making enough money and figuring out the solution.
Yeah, and so that was one thing we talked about is, dude, if you're not making enough money, there's 3 ways you can make it in this job: is you can sell, you can recruit, and you can train. So the thing is what people are missing on is the recruiting aspect. If their personal income goes down, you can replicate it by doing recruits, and by having more recruits, you can actually then have more responsibility to sell more because you're a leader. So it's a kind of a little hack to produce more as you recruit a big team.
Oh yeah, an easy formula. So tell us a little bit more about your daily routine.
So my daily routine, a lot of people talk about getting up super early. I've been always in bed, asleep by midnight, up by 8 a.m. That's always been my routine. I wake up, I try to stay off my phone for the first 30 minutes. I make bulletproof coffee religiously when I'm in town, and it's like a protein shake with caffeine in it. It's super healthy, and I absolutely love it. So I do that, and then I sit for 20, 30 minutes and kind of relax, because if you wake up and you get straight to the stimulants, it's going to mess your whole head up and you can't focus all day. So one thing I try to do, I'm not perfect at it, but I try to give myself a 30-minute window where I can just like let my natural thoughts take place, and then I put together like a to-do list of all the crap I have to do, and then basically try to bust it all out at the beginning of the day, and then I just make sales calls. Love
it, especially like the daily organization planner.
Yep.
I feel like that's one thing that a lot of motivational people talk about, like, clearing out your thoughts, be more proactive than reactive.
Yep.
Plan ahead, look at your schedule, and obviously that's the best way to conquer your day in the beginning.
Yeah, it's in the morning, because what happens is you have a certain level of attention units, and if you can conquer the biggest things at the very beginning, you're going to have more energy and creativity to solve those problems. Whereas if at the end of the day you're tired, you might not have eaten food that agrees with you, and you're digesting it, and it's producing different results in your body, so your brain cognitivity might not be at peak level. Whereas in the morning, and if you're drinking a clean protein coffee shake like Bulletproof, you're able to be super clear and focus and attack things right off the bat. So
I love it.
For me, it helps out a lot.
So speaking of morning routine, so what's like your motivation? What motivates you? Is it family, relationship, goals? What's your motive in the morning?
Well, at the beginning it was money. And then it became, being a celebrity in the space, like being a top performer. So once, I was one of the top reps in my company for year over year, then it started becoming that's who I identified as. And then once you sell a certain amount of accounts, you become someone that sells a certain amount of accounts. And so then I'm like, hey, dude, if I'm going to work, I'm going to be the top rep. That's just how it is. And then now that I've done that for a super long time, now I'm looking at how I can take care of my duties and obligations as a person of influence in the space to try to help this solar industry, the sales particularly, have a better experience, have more training, and also have a better reputation amongst the community. around the world, because obviously right now the solar space is getting a lot of attacks from utility companies, a lot of bad people on YouTube talking shiz about solar. So I'm trying to put as much positive PR as I can to help the solar space, so that the solar space isn't just somebody that just makes a ton of money. They actually give back, they contribute to the community, and they're making this world a better place to live in.
Love that. Love that. Especially, I feel like that happens a lot in the industry. You know what I mean? Like, for example, you know, it was pest control back in the day. Then all of a sudden, alarms blew up, and everyone's same mentality. Feel like these alarm guys, you know, they're just out there hustling, just basically selling these products, but not thinking of giving it back. But it's so true. Like, that's one thing we'll make sure we respect these door-to-door industry, make sure they have a better perspective about the industry.
Yeah, I think the pest control and security warmed up the community to be able to handle solar, and I think this is our baby, the golden goose, that the last 20 years for the people that have laid the foundation for us, like Todd Peterson's, the Jared Chappells, the Steve Zollmans, the guy from Aptiv, what was his name? Do you know the main dude?
Oh, the owner. Ooh.
Yeah, dude. But you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking
and
about.
So these guys have all laid the foundations. Now with solar coming up, this is what I think this place was put in place for, because solar is something the government gets behind, the world gets behind, and I think it's going to be the next big transfer of wealth for our generation. And I believe our community is leading the charge, and right now we are, but very quickly it could shift if we don't respect it. And so that's why, you know, I've done so many things as terms of like Solar Gives Back, which is a humanitarian project that I'm going to go to South Africa, build a school every year around the world. I'm going to go do something to show people that our community is more than just, hey, we make a shit ton of money, like we're giving back. And so that's when you start getting to a certain level of responsibility and duty to a community that you grew up in. You have to give back to it. And that's my form of serving the space, because it's been very good to me. Made a great living. I didn't think I was going to do this, and here I am. It's almost 20 years later doing the same thing, and it's crazy. So
speaking of a community, like, so I guess I don't even know myself. Like, where did you grow up from? Like, tell us your background, your story.
Yeah, I grew up in L.A. So my mom was an aspiring actress. She moved to L.A. to follow her dreams. She went to get her car worked on one day and met my dad. And so they fell in love, got married, had 2 kids. My mom was a actress in the 80s on TV shows with Delta Burke, Major Dad, Mackie, all these guys. And so she instilled in me that, hey, you know, you want to be a performing artist. And I started off doing it, and I was a natural. Like, that's my gift. Is like, some people have certain gifts. LeBron's like a 6'9", like powerhouse diesel. Like, my gift is my ability to entertain and, you know, be someone that can have a good personality and be funny and witty. And so that's a God gift of mine. And so then I went really hard in LA trying to be a professional comic, and I performed for about 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Semi-professional. Really? Yeah. So I started up a comedy troupe in Hollywood. It was called Grizzle Chuck at my community college. I played on a performing team called Comedy Sports. So I was on one of their professional companies. And then I worked with Improv Olympics West before they went out of business. And so I was theatrically trained. I took a bunch of classes. And so it was a really good run. But then I started realizing, you know, how the wealth gap from the super good to the average to the medium, whereas the top of the guys made all the money and the low guys made absolutely nothing. And when I started doing sales, I was getting enough money from sales to pay for my theater. But after years of doubling and tripling my income, I got to a point where I was making $300,000 in a summer selling alarms. And these guys I was learning from in theater were working to get a gig at Disneyland, or make $25,000 a year and live in a 3-bedroom or 1-bedroom apartment with 3 people. And so at that point, I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. I kind of like making money. And so I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to put this theater thing on the shelf and go full force in this entrepreneurship. And the rest is history. I started building teams. You know, I had a really good run where 10 years I threw in over 300 accounts on average for home security and managed 1,200 account office. So it was really good. Then I transitioned to, I left my first company after 15 years to a small regionally based company, Titanium Security. Grew my team out to 4 or 5 offices. We had about 4,700 accounts installed that year in my downline with 300 installs for solar. So
all in California.
All in California, and then and Dallas and in Georgia. So California, Dallas, Georgia, and there was 2 teams in California that we were utilizing. And so yeah, it was a good run. And then after that, I handed off my region and just took a little rip off the top and went full force into consulting. And that group that I handed off produced over 2,100 installs last year. And so it was pretty cool to see how that was able to grow. And I, made a couple calls here and there and facilitated it on a remote board member access. But it was, it was a lot of fun. And just, it's crazy to see where I started versus, where I'm at now. And it started with me, being a sales rep and just putting my time in on the doors. And I thought I wanted to be a comedian. And then I realized that I could take my skill set and apply it to a different industry and grow within that industry. And so here I am. Now I'm on stage training, doing talks, and living my dream, but it wasn't exactly how I thought it would be, And so I thought I'd be telling jokes, but now I just tell motivational lines on stage and entertain people and educate them. And dude, it's been sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was just talking with the last host a few weeks ago, and we were just talking about how the door is a really best way to go out there and learn yourself.
Yeah.
Like even Mark Cuban talks about how one summer knocking door to door is almost like 4 years in college.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Like even I told my wife, once my kids get older, I want to make sure they get that experience.
Yeah,
have a one
100%.
summer of the door to door experience. Basically have them learn more about themselves. It actually builds that confidence.
Yeah.
And, more of the work ethic and the staying positive, which
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah, and that's one thing that people don't realize. It's not so much like you're cut out for door-to-door sales. Nobody is. And so if you're watching this right now and you're in sales, understand that you're not cut out for this. You develop into somebody who it is. What I was very good at is I was super good at talking and persuading people. Is my gift of gab. I was natural at it. But what I didn't have was the work ethic to keep going after I got crapped on every single door. And so I learned the resilience. I learned to be a dog, and I learned to be a fighter and continue to scuffle because I didn't like confrontation. I wanted everybody to like me. I was a comedian. I wanted everybody to laugh. But there's times where customers come out swinging, and you have to fight with them. You have to go toe to toe and just combat them with wits, not literally fist fighting, but oh, what the F are you doing? Oh, what am I doing? You probably didn't hear what happened. What the frick is going on? And then, these different little things to combat with the customer. You can't be afraid to back down. And when they tell you they need to think about it, you have to be able to work through that discomfort of wanting to be liked by pushing them to be able to get a product and service that they're going to benefit from long term, even though they don't see it in the interim.
Oh, so true. Especially you got to learn these little transitions, when to use them, how to keep your confidence going throughout the whole sale. But yeah, definitely kudos to those guys who are out there door to door. Obviously, I'm sure you guys can testify. It's a big life changing. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, if it's your pest, roofing, turf, security, or solar.
Turf,
yeah. There's guys.
Let's go turf.
Yeah, there's some guys going out door to door. I've seen lately out in the neighborhood selling turf.
Really,
especially here in Texas, it's with the heat we're having right now, people hate water in their yards. We're having the high water bills. It's just
interesting.
It's a nice industry right now.
Yeah.
But so obviously you talked about the main transition yourself, where you build. What do you feel like? What was your biggest changing point in your life that brought you to where you're at right now?
I think the biggest changing point was having everyone quit on me year over year, and I realized that I could not continue being a leader. As sales, I was dominating. I was always very good at sales, but what thing really changed for me was having all of my friends quit on me and losing my teams over and over and over again, for me to take ownership of it, that maybe I'm not a good leader. Just because I can sell a lot doesn't mean I know what the hell I'm doing being a leader. And so at that point, after my 5th or 6th year selling a shit ton, but my team all quit, I started realizing, dude, I don't feel good with this trophy. None of my people were making money. None of them felt like I cared about them. And so it was that switch where I'm like, you know what, dude, I need some change. I need some help. And I need to become a better leader. And so I went and got coaching. I went and got help and started finding new influences to help me become a better leader. And since then, I've been able to retain and grow and organization scale like crazy because I learned the skill set to develop in being a leader. And I'm still not done. I am it's a lifelong journey. Sales, you can pretty much pick that up in 2 or 3 years, but leadership is a lifelong journey. And I felt that with learning the sales side takes 2 or 3, 4 years to really master it, but leadership is something that it's a lifetime journey that you're on.
Oh, so true. I think most people look at the small picture at the time, when they become a manager or stepping up to be a leader, where they feel like they're growing, but yeah, they're being held back. They're not making as much money when they're focused on their personal sales.
Yeah.
And it's like they almost got to step back further and look at the bigger picture. See, there's going to be some sacrifice in the beginning.
Yep.
But it's going to be worth the investment of building these teams and how the life changing you're doing to your guys.
Yeah, dude. And that's the part is that's why you stack a bunch of cash and you keep it in your checking account, and then you take a step back, give the top rep in your organization, the rabbit, you give him the opportunity to take that spot, and then you focus on building your org. And at the beginning, it's scary because you don't get that instant dopamine hit like you're used to selling deals, and it's delayed gratification. But if you continue to build the foundation of your teams and your organizations, it'll take about 6 months, but then you'll start seeing the rewards coming in. And if you take care of a guy and you treat him very, very well and you help him scale and make a ton of money, he will continue to work with you for years. And that's why if you're only focusing on sales, that's cool, you're eating, but the problem is your people aren't. And so that's why for me, I was like, you know what? I want to start a business where I'd help the whole space eat more and do better. And that's why since transitioning from being a sales rep into being a coach for, the solar space, I've felt 10 times better inside, and the money's reflected that too as well. And so that's one thing I've been super thankful for is, me stepping back from my own personal gain and seeing other people win has been the biggest reward for me personally. So
love that, especially like that, the biggest things, like seeing those people that you inspired and change and where they're at right now, and them reaching back out to you like, hey, thanks for believing in me, right?
Yeah, that's what it is, dude. 100%.
So I'm sure you heard the phrase, you're the sum of the you're basically the sum of the most 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yep.
What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean that's obviously very true. There's times where you dip back and forth. Is if you're 24/7 around your team, and you're the guy everyone looks to, that's going to drain you and burn you out. So if you're a manager and you're watching this, if you're not spending time with people above you, that means you're going to eventually get sucked dry from your guys because they're trying to get all the juice from you that they can. Where are you going to get refilled is you go and find people that are more talented than you. And the problem is usually people that are more talented than you got to spend money to get in their vicinity. You got to spend a lot of money to get around them. I went with 10 years ago, Grant Cardone was starting off doing his thing, and I spent all my money going to all of his events. And eventually we got text message basis, and then I got his phone number and connected him with Jeff Mendez, and then Grant started speaking at Vivint, and he associates me with connecting him with Vivint, and I made Grant some good money from it. And so for me, I spent money to get around a power player and was on texting basis with him before he just went to Mars and blew up. And so that's the thing, is spending money to get around these guys, these influencers, going to Tony Robbins, going to my events, going to, Brian Tracy seminars and stuff like that. I mean, he's not really doing seminars anymore. He's old, but just getting around people and spending money to be there.
So speaking about like mentors and all that, let's talk about who are some of the people you like to follow in business, and who do you look up to?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I looked up to a good amount of people. My first mentors were the guys like Isaac Burnside, Jason Strife, John Frampton, and John is still a really good friend of mine too. And then it went to Casey Baugh, Jeff Mendez, Bodie Gardner, the guys that really helped build Vivint. And then now it's more people outside the space, like Josh Sutherland. He's a good friend of mine. He was the guy I was working with and then separated, and still he's a good partner of mine. Who else do I learn a lot from? Back into John Maxwell. John Maxwell is a big thing because I think there's a lot of room for leadership training in this space, and I think that's the calling that I want to start fulfilling. I've learned what else? Yeah, I've picked up some of that's most of the big guys that I've been looking to.
Yeah, especially John Maxwell. That's one thing I love about his books and everything. Like one of the famous quote that sticks out to me that I kind of share a lot to my guys is basically the definition of a leader. Yeah. A leader is the one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Yep. Especially, people respect leaders that lead from the front. And yeah. I'm sure like a lot of the people you just mentioned earlier, there are great leaders that actually led from the front and showed you what to do, and basically when they had to roll their sleeves up and get to work out in the field and the doors with you guys, they went out and proved it to you.
Yeah. And another guy I really look up to is Shaquille O'Neal, believe it or not.
Really?
And so one thing that I want, and he's probably one of my favorite guys, and I don't talk about this much, but he was a basketball player, but since leaving basketball, he's able to accumulate over $400 million in net worth because of his investments that he made. And now he's a TV personality. He's a DJ. So he's literally living.
Really? DJ now?
Yeah, his DJ
I have to
Diesel.
go Google that up and check it out.
Yeah, so he just embodies, you play a different chapter of your life, and your chapter can just keep better and better and better. And so he made a decent amount of money playing basketball, but he was able to 10x that after it. And so it's like, anybody that's watching this, I want you to think about, the money that you make here is like your NBA career, but your wealth is going to be built after you leave in the space and go create it somewhere else.
No, so true.
Yeah.
Especially like most people are using this door-to-door industry right now as like their vehicle to their main career path.
Yeah, 100%.
Got to make sure you don't lose focus and make sure you still invest where you want to put it into.
Yeah.
So earlier, with all those mentors, obviously been in the door-to-door industry for 17 years. One of the things that I always like to talk about is like good company culture. What do you think the best way to describe a good company culture is?
It starts from the top down, and so it's the whole person paradigm. So whoever's the leader, the speed of the leader is the speed of the team, and so whoever the leader of that organization is, you're going to have copies of that person throughout it, and they're never going to be as good as the leader. It's always going to be up to 50%. So if you are that person, know that whatever you do, your group's going to do 50% as good as you can. So if you want to start building good company culture, it starts with you living it, breathing it, and doing it, and then continuing to become the best rep, because the best employee you have on your company is yourself. Yep. So the number one person in your group and your organization, Oscar, is you. And then that way, if you want your guys to get better, you do what they want you to do. So by going to seminars, doing events, recruiting, whatever you're doing, those people are going to see you. And so that's where the company starts, is top to bottom, and continuing working on different paradigms. Now, here's the thing is being good culture doesn't always mean just business. Okay, there's physical health, there's relationship, and then there's also spiritual. So a lot of places managers and leaders miss in this space is those other channels to help develop your reps doesn't always just have to be money. And one of my favorite quotes is if you just help your people get rich, you're doing them a disservice. So finding other aspects of life that you can help them in is what it is about being great freaking culture.
No, I love that. So true.
Yeah.
Speaking of almost everything done, like one of the things I kind of want to talk about is like, what message do you have for these audience today?
Yeah. So if you're out there and you're a Rizz maniac, the big thing you got to look at, there's a lot of Rizz maniacs out there, dude, and they're going, it's running wild. It's Rizzmania right now. And the message for you, Rizz maniacs, is if you're watching this and you're in this space, a secret tip, because there's always follow your dreams, figure out your why. Yeah, cool. I want to give you something you could use. Find a finish line for you to sprint to for the next 3 to 4 months, and take a 3 to 4 day trip somewhere, and take your family or friends with you, someone cool, and tell them about it and sell them on it, and then go on that trip and have a freaking blast. And so for me, every year, one of the secrets that prevented me from burnout was I knew as soon as November hit, I was traveling somewhere in the world. I've been to 40 countries now. And so that's always been my push, to work as hard as I can up until November so that I can go out and have a blast. So my business turns down a little bit in November and December, and I go and travel, have a good time. And so that's really what I've found to be a secret sauce. So if this is right now coming out, this is the beginning of September, make a hard push to the end of October, take 3 to 4 days off afterwards, and travel somewhere. It's got to be outside of the state that you're in. Go somewhere outside of the state or the country if you really want to do it right. And all these little things is you're going to have all these experiences over your life. You're not going to remember the 2 months that you worked, but you will remember those 4 days you traveled somewhere in the world. And if you've done this long enough, you look back and you have this photo album of all these cool experiences you've had. Because the thing is, 17 years blew by like that, man. And I don't remember the doors I knocked. I don't remember all the customers, but I do remember all the cool little experiences I've had, because we get so hard and we forget that by working so hard, we forget to have a life.
No, so true. Like people are always thinking about the next move, like almost like playing checkers or chess, and forget like, hey, dude, it's like that motto. There's a reason why there's that motto: work hard, play hard. Yeah, you still got to reward yourself every once in a while. And I appreciate it. That message.
And that's my mantra for my company. Is the company name's called Authentic. It's work hard, play hard, and give back. So you work your ass off. You play hard, you go have fun, and then you give back. And that's what I found by having fun and giving back is I'm going to Africa, and I'm going to build that school out there, and then I'm taking my mom on a safari afterwards, and my brother and his wife, and we're going to go have an adventure out in Africa. So that's my version of playing hard.
That's awesome.
So,
So for all the followers, like obviously that's known you for a while, that don't know you, where can they find you? Where can they follow you at?
Instagram at Danny Pessy, and then my Facebook or my page. I got a website now. It's just DannyPessy.com, and so there's where you can find me, and that's where I post most of my stuff. YouTube, you can find me on YouTube too as well. Got some content out there too as well. Mostly Instagram though. So.
Nice. MySpace too now?
Yeah, no, they kicked me off.
Oh, they kicked you
Yeah,
off?
yeah. Unfortunately, won't go into it.
Well, sweet. Pessy, thanks for being here. Obviously, we had a blast with you this weekend here in Texas. We took Pessy to the Cowboys game yesterday. Had a blast. Fun. He always loves coming here to Dallas. It's always bigger in Texas, but it's always bigger here.
That's right.
With the Luna family, right?
That is. And especially at this Luna Enclave. If you guys haven't a chance to, if you know Oscar on a personal level, get over here, dude. This is a resort. It's crazy. He had to drop me a pin. The house is nuts. I didn't know where I was at in the Enclave and dropped a pin, and I was literally 2 miles away. So it's crazy.
Well, sweet. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching another episode of the Rizz. Pessy, thank you for coming, and catch you guys next time.
The Rizz
is
what it is. Peace.